Imagine putting your newborn baby to sleep tonight, knowing there was a good chance they wouldn't be alive by sunrise. For nearly 300,000 years, that wasn't paranoia. It was reality. No cribs, no baby monitors, no hospitals, no medicine, no emergency calls, just darkness. Freezing nights and predators waiting for a single cry. Yet somehow, your ancestors kept their babies alive. Not once, not twice, but for thousands of generations. How? Most people believe prehistoric parents survived because they were tougher than we are. That's only part of the story. The real reason is far more surprising. They discovered something about raising children that modern society has almost completely forgotten. And before this video is over, you'll understand why trying to raise a child alone goes against hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution. But first, there's a problem, a huge one. And strangely enough, the problem is the human baby itself. Think about almost any other animal. A newborn horse is standing within hours. A baby deer can run before the day is over. Even a chimpanzee grabs onto its mother's fur the moment it's born. But a human baby can't hold up its own head. It can't walk for nearly a year. It can't feed itself. It can't defend itself. It can't even stay quiet when danger is nearby. From an evolutionary standpoint, this makes absolutely no sense. Evolution rewards survival. It favors stronger bodies, faster reflexes, and better instincts. So why would it produce the weakest newborn on the entire planet? A baby so helpless that without constant care, it wouldn't survive a single night. The answer begins. Millions of years before the first civilization, before farming, before language, before humans even looked like humans. Because our greatest evolutionary advantage almost became our greatest weakness. Millions of years ago, our ancestors' brains started growing larger. A bigger brain meant smarter decisions, better tools, better hunting, better cooperation. For the first time, humans weren't surviving because they were the strongest. They were surviving because they were the smartest. It was the greatest evolutionary upgrade our species had ever received. But every advantage comes with a price. As the brain grew larger, babies' heads grew larger too. At exactly the same time, our ancestors had evolved to walk upright. Walking on two legs changed everything. It made us faster, more efficient, and able to travel incredible distances. But it also narrowed the birth canal. Suddenly, human evolution faced an impossible problem. Every generation, babies were becoming harder to deliver. Eventually, nature had only two choices: stop growing the human brain, or send babies into the world before they were fully developed. Nature chose the second option, and that single decision changed the future of humanity forever. At first, that sounds like a terrible solution. Why would evolution send babies into the world before they were ready? Because it had no better choice. If human babies stayed in the womb any longer, their heads would simply become too large to pass through the birth canal. Mother and baby would both die. So evolution made a compromise, a painful one. Human babies aren't born finished. They're born unfinished. In fact, while a chimpanzee enters the world with around 40% of its adult brain size, a human baby is born with only about 25%. That means nearly 3/4 of your brain develops after you're born, while you're completely dependent on someone else. Think about how incredible that is. The most intelligent species on Earth begins life as one of the least capable animals on the planet. It can't escape danger. It can't find food. It can't protect itself. It can't even move towards safety. For hundreds of thousands of years, every newborn faced the same impossible challenge: survive long enough for its brain to finish growing. And that's where evolution ran into another problem, a much bigger one. Other primates have an advantage human babies don't. The moment a baby chimpanzee is born, it grabs onto its mother's fur. If she climbs, the baby climbs with her. If she runs, the baby stays attached. Human babies can't do that because long before our brains became enormous, our ancestors lost most of their body hair. There was nothing left to hold on to. Imagine trying to escape a predator while carrying a baby that can't cling to you, can't walk, and won't stop crying. By every rule of nature, our species should have disappeared, but it didn't. Instead, humans discovered something so powerful that it became our greatest evolutionary advantage, and it had nothing to do with bigger brains or stronger bodies. It had everything to do with each other. For decades, scientists believed human intelligence was the reason we conquered the planet, but they were looking at the wrong survival strategy. Our greatest advantage wasn't a bigger brain. It was something far more ordinary and far more powerful. We learned to raise children together. Among almost every great ape, a mother raises her baby almost entirely alone. She carries it, feeds it, protects it, and won't let anyone else come near. If another chimpanzee touches her infant, she'll attack. Humans evolved in the exact opposite direction. A newborn wasn't just the mother's responsibility. It became everyone's responsibility. Grandmothers carried babies while mothers searched for food. Older brothers and sisters watched over them. Fathers stayed close. Aunts helped feed them. Even people who weren't related by blood stepped in when help was needed. Imagine walking through a prehistoric camp. Everywhere you look, someone is holding a baby. Someone is comforting one. Someone is protecting one. Because everyone understood the same terrifying truth. A baby left alone was a dead baby, and modern research shows just how extraordinary this system really was. Among the FA people of the Congo rainforest, one infant is held by an average of 14 different people in a single day. 14. Imagine that. A baby passes from one pair of arms to another, again and again and again. To many modern parents, that sounds unbelievable. Today, we worry if someone else holds our baby for too long. For our ancestors, sharing care wasn't unusual. It was survival. Without dozens of helping hands, the human brain would have been too expensive for evolution to maintain. But holding babies wasn't enough. There was another challenge, one that every mother faced, every single day. How do you keep a baby alive when the only food it can eat comes from you? The answer shaped the lives of every human family that ever existed. For most of human history, there was no baby formula, no bottles, no clean drinking water, no grocery stores, no backup plan. If a newborn couldn't breastfeed, its chances of survival dropped dramatically. That's why mothers didn't nurse for 6 months or even a year. Many breastfed for 3, sometimes 4 years. Not because it was a parenting philosophy, because it was the only reliable way to keep a child alive. But breastfeeding did something else, something most people never think about. It naturally delayed the next pregnancy, and that wasn't an accident. Imagine trying to carry one helpless baby while another newborn needed to be fed every few hours. For prehistoric families, that could be a disaster. Nature solved the problem before humans even understood it existed, but eventually, milk wasn't enough. Every baby reached the same moment. The moment they needed real food today. Parents buy baby food from a supermarket. Our ancestors had a very different solution. The mother or another caregiver would chew the food first. Meat, roots, berries, anything too tough for a baby to eat. Then they placed it directly into the baby's mouth. To us, that sounds shocking. To them, it was life-saving. The food was softer, easier to digest, safer to swallow. And scientists now believe something even more fascinating. This ancient act of feeding may have helped shape one of the most familiar human behaviors of all, the kiss. Long before kissing became a symbol of love, it may have begun as a mother feeding her child. But even with shared parenting, even with breastfeeding, even with every adult helping, raising human children was still incredibly difficult. There was one final piece of the puzzle. One that almost no other animal on Earth has grandmothers. About that for a second. Most animals don't live very long after they stop reproducing. From an evolutionary perspective, that doesn't make much sense. If an animal can no longer have offspring, why keep it alive? Humans are different. Women often live for decades after menopause. For years, scientists couldn't explain why then. Researchers studying one of the last hunter-gatherer societies on Earth found an extraordinary answer. Grandmothers weren't simply surviving. They were feeding entire families. While younger mothers cared for infants, older women gathered food, dug up roots, shared their knowledge, and helped raise the next generation. Without them, mothers had fewer surviving children. With them, entire families became stronger. That's why many anthropologists believe menopause isn't an evolutionary mistake. It's an evolutionary strategy. Because sometimes the person most responsible for the future isn't the one giving birth. It's the one making sure the children live long enough to grow up. And that brings us back to today. For hundreds of thousands of years, no parent raised a child alone. Not one. There was always another pair of hands, another family member, another friend, another grandmother, another neighbor, someone to carry the baby, someone to calm the crying, someone to let an exhausted mother sleep. Today, millions of parents try to do all of that alone, and then they wonder why it feels impossible. Maybe they're asking the wrong question. Maybe parenting isn't harder than it used to be. Maybe we're simply trying to do what humans were never designed to do alone. Because the greatest survival strategy our species ever discovered was never fire, it was never tools, it was never even intelligence, it was each other. Every city you've ever seen, every language you've ever spoken, every invention, every dream exists because somewhere in the distant past, a helpless baby survived only because an entire community refused to let that child die. And perhaps that's the most important thing evolution ever taught us.